with the plot, and we also start with the excerpts, and we do a critical analysis of the acts that we are going to explore. So let's start first with the author's background. So it's Wal Soyinka, who is a renowned Nigerian playwright, poet, essayist, and political activist, widely regarded as one of Africa's most important literary figures. He was born in 1934 in Nigeria, and he had a profound influence on African literature. He has been always very outspoken critic of oppressive regimes, both in Nigeria and globally. Ball was born into a Yoruba family in western Nigeria. His father was a headmaster and his mother was a shopkeeper and a very prominent member of the local church. Works, if we talk about Sowinka's works, they span various genres, including plays, novels, poetry, essays, but he's best known for his plays, which often explores complex social and political issues, drawing mostly on both Yoruba's tradition and Western literary critique. Some of his important plays include A Dance of the Forests that we are going to study today. It was written in 1960. Again, one of his famous play was The Lion and the Jewel. It was written in 1959. The Road in 1965, and The Death and the King's Horseman in 1975. These plays often address themes such as colonialism, tradition versus modernity, corruption, and human condition. He had also written few novels. He had also written poetries and essays. Most of his famous novels was The Interpreters, which was written in 1965, and Season of Enomy, which delved deep into the challenges of post colonial Nigeria. It examined issues of corruption, identity, and the struggles of the intellectual elite in a newly independent nation. So in 1986, Wal Soyinka was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature. The Nobel Committee praised him for his work in a wide cultural perspective and with poetic overtones that fashion the drama of existence. These were the words. Now, let's talk about today's play, A Dance of the Forests. A bit of background of the play. It was written in 1963 specifically for Nigeria's independence celebrations. It was performed as part of the festivities marking Nigeria's transition from colonial rule to independence. The play is notable for its thematic exploration of cultural renewal, communal values, and the interplay between traditional and modern influences in post colonial Nigeria. What might have come across the mind of the author before he wrote this play? One of the most striking aspects of A Dance of the Forests, its tone of ambivalence. While the play was written for an independence celebration, it is far from a straightforward celebration of freedom. Instead, Sovinka uses the play to express his deep disillusionment with the idea that independence alone would solve Nigeria's problems. He recognizes that while colonial rule was oppressive and exploitative, the end of colonialism does not automatically lead to a just and harmonious society. Soyinka's ambivalence is reflected in the way the play juxtaposes the present and the past. The living characters in the play, who represent contemporary Nigeria, are eager to celebrate their ancestors, whom they believe to be illustrious and heroic figures. However, the spirits that are summoned revealed a different reality, one of betrayal, exploitation, and suffering. contrast highlights Soyinka's skepticism about the romanticization of the past and the dangers of ignoring the darker aspects of history. The central theme in A Dance of the Forest is the critique of idealized history. Soyinka is deeply concerned with the way history is often romanticized, particularly in the context of newly independent nations. In the play, the living characters want to celebrate their ancestors, but the spirits are summoned, challenge this idealized view. There is a dead man, there is a dead woman who appear as the spirits of ordinary people, wronged by society, force the living to confront the reality of their history. A history that included not only heroism but also betrayal, cruelty, and injustice. So he very tactfully uses these characters to underscore the importance of an honest reckoning with the past. He warns against the danger of nostalgia and the tendency to idealize history, which can lead to a failure to learn from past mistakes. For Soyinka, the past is not something to be glorified uncritically, but something to be examined, understood, and learned from. Only by confronting the realities of history can a society really hope to avoid repeating the same mistakes in the future. Another significant theme which can be explored in the play is the s- the the nature of human feelings. Soinka suggests that history is not linear but cyclical, with the same patterns of behavior repeating themselves over and over again. This theme is particularly evident in the way the play's characters interact with the spirits of the past. The living characters, despite their desire to celebrate their ancestors, are revealed to be repeating many of the same mistakes that led to the suffering of the spirits. Soinka's portrayal of Forest Head, the god who presides over the events of the play, reinforces the idea of this cyclical history. The forest head represents the forces of nature and time, which are indifferent to human desires and ambition. The god's role in the play is not to judge or intervene, but to observe, reflecting the idea that history is shaped by human actions and that the same patterns will continue to repeat unless there is a conscious effort to break the cycle. This theme of cyclical history reflects Soyinka's concern that Nigeria, despite its newfound independence, was at risk of falling into the same patterns of corruption, exploitation, violence that had characterized the colonial period. He feared that without a critical examination of the past and a commitment to change, the new nation would be doomed to repeat the same mistakes. Of course, there is a hope of redemption and renewal, which is the play's critical tone, which is also explored in the play. Soinka does not completely abandon hope. A Dance of the Forest contains elements of hope for redemption, although this hope is cautious and conditional. The play suggests that change is possible, but it requires deep and often painful reckoning with history and human nature. The character of the forest father represents this possibility of renewal. He is considered as a figure of wisdom and reconciliation. The forest father serves as a reminder that while the past is inescapable, it is also possible to learn from it and to create a better future. However, this renewal is not guaranteed. It depends on the willingness of the individuals and society to confront their feelings, to acknowledge the trusts, of their history and to commit to change. In
Goldie, your microphone is on.
in
Ma'am, your little disturbance is coming.
Okay, is
Alert,
it
caption
is it
visible, use Windows.
is it clear now?
Yeah, you continue.
Okay, thank you. So, okay. Uh, so I was talking about yes, the theme of renewal and redemption. There is also the defining characteristics of complexity and ambiguity seen in the play. Soyinka does not offer simple answers or solutions to the challenges facing Nigeria. Instead, he presents a play that is
Goldie, your microphone is
rich
on.
in symbolism.
And when you're talking now, then some noise is coming.
Okay, so I'll try to check with my speaker. Just a second.
Yeah, yeah, you check your speaker.
Goldie, your camera is on. Goldie, your camera is on.
Is it okay now, sir?
Alert, live caption
Yeah,
visible,
it is
use
already.
Windows with your
Okay. Can the rest of the listeners also confirm if I'm audible this time?
much as on the left there outside English.
Because when
Okay.
you are talking now, then
Alert, live
some
caption visible, use
background
Windows.
noise, I mean the speaker noise is coming.
Okay.
Yucky caption says
Is
in
it
chat
fine
phone
now, sir?
mouthful, but your voice is cracking.
Is it okay? Am I audible clearly right now?
Yeah, you are now, I think it's,
Rachel
you
Federa
go
says in
ahead,
chat
ma'am, you
phone
go
your
ahead.
man.
Okay, thank you. So, besides renewal, there is complexity and ambiguity. These are also one of the defining characteristics in the play. And Soinka does not offer any simple answers or solutions to the challenges. Instead, he presents a play that is rich in symbolism, myth, allegory, allowing for multiple interpretations and reflections on the human condition. The play uses Yoruba's mythology and symbolism, adds to its complexity. The characters, who represent both human and spiritual realms, embody different aspects of Nigerian society and history. The dead man and the dead woman, for example, let's say, they symbolize the forgotten and marginalized figures of history, while the living characters of today represent contemporary Nigeria with all its hopes, fears, and contradictions. The play's ambiguous ending reinforces this sense of complexity, where the playwright does not provide a clear resolution to the conflicts and challenges presented in the play. Instead, he leaves the audience with questions and reflections, encouraging them to think critically about the issues raised and to engage in a deeper examination of their own history and society. This was a bit of the background feelings that the author had and that prompted him to write this beautiful play. So let's now focus on the characters in the play. So there is this forest head or the forest father who is a key symbolic figure in the play. As the god who presides over the events, the forest head embodies the forces of nature, time, and history. The character's detachment and indifference to human affairs symbolize the idea that history is shaped by human actions and that the same patterns will continue unless there is a conscious effort to change. The forest head is the key role in the play, who is not to judge or to intervene directly but to observe and to allow the characters to confront their own actions and choices. Now, this reflects Soyinka's view that change must come from within and that individuals and societies must take responsibilities of their own destinies. Second, we move to the dead man and the dead woman. The dead man and the dead woman are central figures again. Now, they represent the forgotten and the marginalized people of history. Their appearance at the gathering, instead of the illustrious ancestors that the living characters were expecting, forces the living to confront the darkest aspects of their past. The dead man and the dead woman symbolize the pain, suffering, and betrayal that are often glossed over in a romanticized version of history. Their presence in the play serves as a reminder that history is not just about heroes and triumphs, but also about the ordinary people who suffered and were forgotten. Through these characters, Soinka challenges the audience to think critically about the way history is remembered and to acknowledge the full spectrum of experiences that make up the past. The dead man and the dead woman are not just symbols of the past, but also a warning about the future. If the lessons of history are not learnt, the same suffering will be repeated. The third most important character is Madame Tortoise, who is also known as Madame Forest Head, and she plays a significant role in the play's exploration of themes related to morality, exploitation, and the complexity of human nature. Madame Tortoise is one of the characters who participates in the gathering of the living and dead during the festival in the play. She is portrayed as a seductive and a manipulative woman who represents the vices and moral decay in the society. Her past as a prostitute is revealed during the course of the play as she becomes a symbol of exploitation, particularly of women, and the moral compromises people make. Madame Tortoise's character is symbolic of the corruption and moral decline that Soinka saw in society. Her past as a prostitute is not just a personal history, but serves as an allegory for the way in which society exploits and devalues individuals for its own gain. She embodies the idea of moral decay and the consequences of living in a society where people are commodified and used for selfish purposes. There is one more character who's known as Demoke. Demoke is the carver, is one of the most complex characters in the play. He represents the artist and the creative process, but he is also a symbol of guilt and the burden of the past. Demoke's act of killing Oremol, his apprentice, is a central event in the play where it reflects the theme of betrayal and the consequences of human actions. Demoki struggle with his guilt and his eventual confrontation with the spirits symbolize the internal conflict that many individuals and societies face when dealing with the past. His character reflects the possibility of redemption, but only through acknowledgement of wrongdoing and a willingness to change. The next character is Eshuoro, who is a trickster and in Yoruba mythology. And in Dance of the Forests, he represents chaos, disruption, darker force of human nature. So Eshuoro's role in the play is to challenge the characters and to expose their flaws and weaknesses. He embodies the idea that human behavior is not always rational or noble, and that darker impulses often drive actions. His presence in the play adds to the sense of ambiguity and complexity. He serves as a reminder that human nature is multifaceted and that the line between good and evil is often blurred. His character challenges the audience to think critically about their actions and the motivations that drive them. There is one interesting character, Rola, who is Adenebi's wife. She's a female character in the play. She's a former courtesan, now married to Adenebi, a court historian. Rola represents the theme of moral ambiguity and the complexities of human nature. Her past as a courtesan is something she tries to distance herself from, but it continues to haunt her. Rola is depicted as a very strong willed and manipulative woman, reflecting the idea that people often have hidden depths and complex motivations. There is Adenebi, who is Rola's husband and serves as a court historian. His role in the play is important because he represents the intellectual and bureaucratic class that Soinka often critiqued. Adenebi is portrayed as self serving, concerned more with his status and power than with the well being of the community or the truth. His character symbolizes the dangers of intellectual complacency and the moral compromises often made by those in positions of authority. There is another character, Akboreko, who is elderly person who possess knowledge of the spiritual world and the mysteries of the forest. She represents traditional wisdom and connection between human and spiritual realms. Her role in the play is to guide the characters and provide insight into the deeper meanings of events unfolding around them. Akbariko's importance lies in her role as a mediator between the living and the dead, as well as between the human world and the supernatural. She serves as a reminder of the importance of tradition, spirituality, and the wisdom of the elders. Her presence in the play underscores the theme of continuity between the past, present, and future, and the necessity of respecting and understanding the spiritual aspects of life. Muret is one of the forest spirits and serves as a messenger between the human and spirit worlds. He represents the unpredictability and mystery of the forest, which in the play symbolizes the unknown and the hidden aspect of history and human nature. Muret's character adds to the sense of unease and ambiguity that pervades throughout the play. Muret's importance in the play is tied to his role in facilitating the interaction between the living characters and the spirits of the dead. He is a reminder of interconnectedness of all things and that the idea the past is never truly gone but continues to influence the present. There is Forest Head, who is also known as Aroni, who is one of the most powerful and enigmatic figure in the play. As the ruler of the forest head has control over the spirits and the natural world. He gathers the living and the dead. He brings the character together to confront their past and the truth they would always have rather avoided. So, Aroni is the power known as the symbol of power, wisdom, and impartiality. So, these are some of the characters and which have constituted clearly a very beautiful plot. The entire play has three acts. So we go to the plot summary one by one of all the three acts. Then we talk about the important lines from each act and how the lines are actually promoting to the other incidents in the same act and then proceeding to the different act. Okay, so we start with the plot summary now. So this is Act 1, and the setting is the play, which is where both the living and the dead are brought together for a ceremonial gathering. The forest serves as a crucial backdrop or a platform that symbolizes the intersection between the spiritual and the earthly realms. The characters introduce themselves, and the act, introduces the key characters, which includes Demoke the carver, his wife, who is also known for his past as a courtesan, Adenabi, a historian, and the other prominent figures such as Madame Tortoise. These characters are gathered to partake in the ceremonial dance, which is meant to be a moment of reflection and reckoning. The play begins with the preparation for a significant festival where the gathering symbolizes the central play's exploration of history and morality. During the preparations, underlying tensions among the characters begin to surface. The audience learns about Demoke's troubled past, including his strained relationship with his wife and his guilt over past actions. There is also tension related to the expectations and roles of the characters in the forthcoming festivals. There is the presence of spiritual beings, which include the forest head, which is who is introduced as a supernatural dimension to the play. Now, these spiritual entities are symbolic of the past influence on the present and the ongoing cycle of history. The forest head, who he plays a pivotal role in guiding the characters and setting the tone for the gathering. Some of the important incidents in the play in Act 1 is the role of Madame Tortoise. Madame Tortoise's background is introduced, highlighting the themes of ambiguity and social judgment. There is the gathering of the living and the dead, that is also explored. There is guilt and redemption, that is also explored. And there is moral and social critique, which begins to establish Soyinka's setting the stage for deeper exploration in the upcoming acts. So, in moving now to the plot summary of Act 2. Act 2 of The Dance of the Forest is a crucial part of the play where the tension escalates and the complexities of the characters' personal and collective histories are explored in greater depths. Act 2 focuses on the deepening of personal conflicts and the unraveling of the character's secret. The interactions between the living characters and the spirits become more intense as past grievances and hidden truths come to light. The act reveals more about the backgrounds of the key characters, particularly their moral failings. There are confrontations between characters as they confront their own guilt and the consequences of their actions. These interactions are often charged with emotion and reveal the underlying tensions that have been simmering throughout the play. The spirits, including the forest head and other supernatural figures, play a more active role. They challenge the living characters, forcing them to confront their past mistakes and reflect on their current behaviors. The presence of the spirits emphasize the theme of reckoning with history and the moral implications of one's action. Some of the important incidents in Act 2 is where Demoke's guilt or Demoke's involvement or struggle with his guilt over the death of his apprentice Oremul is revealed. Democles' internal conflict as he confronts by the spirits, and this reminds of his past wrongdoings. This confrontation forces him to confront his own moral failings and the impact of his actions on those around him. There is Madame Tortoise's interaction with Demoke, which is particularly significant. Their past relationship and the moral compromises she represented comes to forefront. The tension between them highlights the themes of exploitation and moral decay, and Demoke's guilt is further amplified by her presence. The act also features intense scenes of gathering where both the people from both the world come together to address unresolved issues. During this gathering, key revelations occur, including the exposure of hidden motives and the characters' true selves. These revelations contribute to play's exploration of history, memory, and moral responsibility. The role of Akboreko, the elderly gentleman, uh, is my voice still cracking? Is my voice still cracking?
No, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. Somebody raised hands. Do you have anything to say?
I accidentally did so. Thank you.
Oh, no
So,
problem. Fine. Okay. So there is the role of Agboreko, the yes, the important incident, which had the role of Agboreko, who provided crucial insights into how the events are unfolding gradually. Her role as a mediator between the two realms become more pronounced in Act 2. She offers wisdom and guidance, helping the characters navigate their internal conflicts and confront their pasts. Eshuro's influence is also one of the important incident in Act 2. He continues to play a disruptive role in the narrative. His actions and interventions further complicate the character situations and add to the overall sense of chaos and moral ambiguity. Eshuro's influence underscores the theme of unpredictability and the darker aspects of human nature. The most beautiful part of this act is the ritual dance that includes the scenes that symbolizes the cyclical nature of history and human behavior. The dance serves as a physical representation of the characters, their struggles, and the broader themes of the play. It also highlights the connection between the living and the dead, as well as the ongoing influence of the past on the present. So, overall, Act 2 is a pivotal section that delves into the characters' personal conflicts, reveals hidden truths, intensifies the exploration of themes related to guilt, history, and morality. The act also focuses on revelations, confrontations, and the role of spirits that helps to build towards play's climax and resolutions, setting the stage for a deeper understanding of the character's struggle and their play's broader messages. We move to the last act, the plot summary. Act 3 brings the play to its climax and resolution. This act is crucial because it resolves the central conflicts and highlights the play's thematic concerns. There is a confrontation with the past, which is Act 3, continuously explores. Act 3 begins with the characters facing the consequences of their actions from the past. The dead and the living are brought together for a final reckoning. The characters must confront their guilt, their moral failures, and the unresolved issues from their past. This confrontation is a key moment in the play, emphasizing the theme that the past cannot be ignored and must be faced to achieve in order to achieve resolution and progress. The ritual gathering is seen. There is this climax part where there is a ritual gathering. The forest head and spiritual entities, including Eshoro and the other spectral figures, they play significant roles in the proceedings. The ritual is intense and emotionally charged as it forces the characters to acknowledge their wrongdoings and seek forgiveness. Then we also see Demoke's redemption, that that had been killing him from inside, who has been tormented by his guilt, and he had been experiencing this since the very beginning. So it's the time that he is serving as a moment of catharsis. After he confronts this, he's given the opportunity to seek redemption and make amends from his past mistakes. As the act progresses, the characters' path converge, leading to a resolution of the central conflicts. The living characters must acknowledge the truths revealed during this ritual and come to terms with the lessons learned. The act emphasizes the need for self awareness, accountability, and the importance of understanding and addressing historical injustice. This is the final scene of Act 3 that brings closure to the narrative. The characters reflect on their experiences and the impact of the ritual on their lives. The act underscores the cyclical nature of history and the potential for change and renewal. The play ends on a note that suggests the possibility of moving forward, but only after a thorough examination of the past and a commitment to change. Some of the important incidents here in this act, the final act, is the encounters with the spirits of the dead. The confrontations force the living characters to face their past actions. The spirits act as catalysts for self reflection and transformation. Demoke's redemption is an important incident here. He confronts his guilt and seeks forgiveness. The ritual's climax is an important incident here. The ritual conducted by the forest head and other spiritual figures. The characters' resolutions. Storylines are important. The various characters' storylines are important. Each character must come to term with their own past and the revelations of the ritual. The act provides a sense of closure and emphasizes the play's themes of history, memory, and possibility of change. The final scene reflects of renewal. The characters reflect on the lessons learned and the potential for moving forward. The play concludes with a sense of hope, suggesting that while the past is always present, there is an opportunity for growth and positive change. These are the plot summaries of the three acts. Very soon, we are going to start with a detailed analysis from each of the acts. But before that, we will do a critical appreciation of the writing style and the structure. There had been traditional elements found in the Soyinka's play. They incorporate traditional Yoruba performance elements, which includes rituals, dance, and chants. This integration of traditional forms enhances the authenticity of the cultural depiction and adds depth to the play's thematic exploration. Symbolism is again one of the structure here which is critically appreciated. The forest gods and the dance of the forests serve as a powerful symbol of cultural renewal and unity. The play uses symbolic actions and rituals to convey its message about the importance of reconnecting with cultural roots. So, these are the writing style and structure. Now, we will start with Act 1 and we will talk about the important lines as written in the play. We will do a thorough analysis. We will understand their significance, exactly what does the speaker wants to say, and overall how does it reflect what it wants to. So this is Act 1, and there is an opening ritual. The text goes like this: in the name of the forest head, the trees, the leaves, the rocks, the rivers, and all the spirits that dwell within, we gather here today. Let the spirits of the past speak and the living listen. The past is never dead, it is not even past. This is the opening ritual from Act 1. I'll repeat the text. In the name of the forest head, the trees, the leaves, the rocks, the rivers, and all the spirits that dwell within, we gather here today. Let the spirits of the past speak and the living listen. The past is never dead, it is not even past. Here we see there is an invocation of nature and spirits. The opening ritual establishes the play's connection to the natural and spiritual worlds. By invoking the forest head, trees, rocks, rivers, and spirits, Soinka emphasizes the interplay between the natural environment and the spiritual realm. This invocation sets the tone for the play's exploration of the cyclical nature of history and the interconnections between different realms of existence. The theme of historical continuity is clearly seen in this excerpt. The line, "The past is never dead, it is not even past," highlights the play's central theme of historical continuity. This statement underscores the idea that history and its consequences are always present and affect the current moment. The past is not something that can be easily left behind. It continuously influences and shapes the present and future. There is a spiritual reflection in the lines. The ritual serves as a means of connecting with ancestral spirits and acknowledging their influence. This reflects Soinka's interest in traditional African spirituality and its role in understanding contemporary issues. The gathering of the living and the dead is a symbolic gesture meant to facilitate reconciliation and understanding. Again, one of the important lines in Act 1, the text reads like this, where we see there is an introduction of Demoke. Demoke the carver is a man of skill and reputation, but skill alone is not enough to redeem the past. The price of greatness is not just talent, but the burden of history. Here, a character is introduced. This character is Demoke, one of the central figure in the play. By highlighting his skill and reputation, Soinka establishes Demoke as a talented individual who is significant in his community. However, the passage immediately introduces a very critical aspect of his character that talks about his struggle with the burden of history. There is a theme of responsibility. The phrase, the price of greatness, it not just talent but the burden of history. This reflects the theme of personal and collective responsibility. Demoke's talent as a carver is contrasted with the heavier burden of historical and moral responsibility. This suggests that personal achievements are intertwined with broader historical and ethical considerations. There is guilt and redemption. The mention of history's burden alludes to Democles' internal conflict and guilt. The burden of history implies that Democles' actions and decisions are weighed down by past events and moral failures. This set of his character's journey towards redemption and self discovery, which will be explored further in the play. There is the entry of Madame Tortoise, where the text speaks out. Madame Tortoise enters with an air of affected grace. Her past as a courtesan lingers in her every step, a reminder of the moral compromises that once shaped her world. The laughter that follows her is a mockery of the dignity she seeks to portray. Here, the character and the symbolism of Madame Tortoise' entrance is significant for several reasons. Her affected grace and past as a courtesan symbolize the theme of moral ambiguity and the complexity of human nature. Her character embodies the tension between outward appearances and internal realities. The laughter that follows her suggests that she is perceived with skepticism and reflecting social attitude towards her past. There is a theme of morality and reputation seen here in this text. Madame Tortoise's attempt to present herself with dignity contrasts with the mockery she receives. This highlights the theme of moral compromise and the difficulty of escaping one's past. Despite her efforts to reinvent herself, her past continues to influence how she is perceived by others. This tension between personal reinvention and societal judgment is a key theme in the play. There is a social commentary which serves as a social which serves on the stigmatization of women who have engaged in sex work. Madame Tortoise's character challenges the audience to consider issues of judgment, redemption, and the impact of past actions and on one's present life. There is a beautiful text by the forest head who is giving a speech. The text is: the forest is a mirror reflecting the truth of what lies within the hearts of men. Those who come seeking to hide their sins will find no refuge here. The spirits see beyond the facades, and the truth will be laid bare before all. The forest head speech uses the forest as a powerful symbol. The forest reflects the inner truths of individuals, suggesting that nature and the spiritual world are attuned to the true nature of people. This symbolism reinforces the play's exploration of inner truth and the inevitability of facing one's true self. The theme of truth and revelation is clearly stated in this text. The statement that the truth will be laid bare before all underscores the theme of revelation and the exposure of hidden truths. The forest as a mirror represents a space where personal and collective truths are revealed. This sets up the play's central conflict, where characters must confront and deal with their past actions and moral failings. Moral and spiritual judgment is clearly mentioned in this text, which implies that the forest and by extension the spiritual realm functions as a judge of human actions. Those seeking to escape or hide from the sins will not find refuge, emphasizing the play's moral and spiritual dimensions. It suggests that true justice and reconciliation come from acknowledging and confronting one's actions rather than evading them. The forest gods lament the erosion of our ways. This is the next text in the same act, Act 1. The rituals have become mere shadows of their former selves. We must act now or lose our essence to the winds of change. This excerpt introduces the central concern of Act 1, the decline of traditional practices and values. The forest gods represent the cultural heritage, express their dismay at how rituals and cultural practices have become diluted or forgotten. This lamentation sets the tone for the play's exploration of the cultural and spiritual crisis facing the community. There is a cultural decline. The text underscores the theme of cultural erosion, highlighting the impact of modernization and external influences on traditional practices. It emphasizes the urgent need for a revival of cultural values to prevent the loss of identity and heritage. There is a collective memory and spiritual essence of the community. The lamentation reflects the broader societal concern about maintaining cultural continuity amidst change. The next text tells about the people of the village are restless, their hearts divided between the old ways and the new. We must guide them to a path where tradition and modernity can coexist. This passage tells the internal conflict within the village as it struggles with the tension between the traditional values and modern influences. The restlessness of the villagers signifies the broader struggle faced by societies undergoing rapid change. The call for guidance tells the need for a harmonious integration of old and new practices. There is a tension between tradition and modernity, the central conflict of the play, that is, the challenge of reconciling traditional practices with the demands of modern life. The broader post colonial context, it is what it is reflecting, where societies are negotiating their identities in the face of globalization and modernization. The emphasis is on guidance that implies the importance of leadership and wisdom, which is navigating this cultural transition. It suggests that resolving this tension requires thoughtful mediation and a respectful integration of diverse influences. As the drums beat and the dance begins, let us remember that this is not just a celebration but a reaffirmation of our identity. The dance of the forests is a reminder of who we are and where we come from. This passage encapsulates the purpose of the dance of the forests, framing it as both a celebration and a spiritual reaffirmation. The dance is portrayed as a powerful ritual that reconnects the villagers with their cultural roots and reaffirms their collective identity. The passage underscores the significance of the dance of the forests as a cultural ritual that reaffirms and strengthens communal bonds. It highlights the role of traditional practices in preserving and celebrating cultural identity. The dance here serves as the symbol of continuity and resilience. It represents the community's efforts to maintain their heritage in the face of external pressures. It reinforces the idea that cultural rituals are vital for sustaining communal identity and values. The mind cannot own such memories and still find peace. The swamp is good for none. It is neither good for the world of the unborn nor the world of the dead. In this excerpt, the father of the forest, that is Obanaji, speaks to the idea of unresolved memories and their impact on both the living and the dead. The swamp here metaphorically represents the stagnation and decay. Somebody raised hands. Did somebody raise hand? Okay, no problem. So the swamp here is metaphorically representing the state of stagnation and decay, where the unresolved issues from the past fester and affect both the present and the future. This line tells one of the central themes of the play, that is, the need to confront and address the past to prevent its toxic effects from spreading. Soinka uses the character of Obanaji to convey the wisdom of nature and the spiritual world, suggesting that peace and progress can only come from reckoning with history. There is Rola, who speaks, "A feast, that's what you call it? I have seen the graves open, and the pythons are stirring in the dead man's armpits. Pythons are coming out of the nostrils of the dead woman." If you analyze this particular text, it describes a vivid, it gives you a vivid description of the dead rising with pythons coming out of their bodies, which is a powerful image that blends the supernatural with reality. This grotesque image highlights the horrors of the past that refuse to stay buried. The dead characters in the play symbolize unresolved issues from the past, such as injustices and moral failures. Rola's world suggests that these issues are not only festering but also ready to emerge and confront the living. The imagery of the pythons, which are often symbolical to rebirth and renewal in various culture, hints at the idea that the past must be dealt with for true generation to occur. The lines of the dead man that tells, "When the sap of the tree was still our blood, when the heart of the tree was not yet stone, we moved like the wind across its veins. Have you forgotten? The tree has 1,000 hands, the grass has 1,000,000 hairs." Analyzing this particular text, we see the dead man's speech is deeply rooted in the connection between humanity and nature, reflecting Soinka's use of Yoruba's mythology and symbolism. The metaphor of the tree represents life and interconnectedness, suggesting that in the past there was a harmonious relationship between humans and nature. However, this harmony has been lost, symbolized by the tree's heart turning to stone. The imagery of the trees, 1,000 hands, and the grass, 1,000,000 hairs, evokes a sense of life and vitality, which contrasts with the present state of decay. This passage can be seen as a lament for a lost era of balance and unity, urging a return to such values to heal the wounds of the present. Aroni's lines, "You did not find the right key in your years of travel. You looked everywhere, but you failed to look within yourselves." Aroni, the limping messenger, here touches on one of the play's central messages, the importance of self reflection. The right key symbolizes the solution to the problems facing the characters, which they have been searching for externally rather than internally. This line is a critique of the tendency to overlook internal, moral, and ethical failures while seeking solutions elsewhere. Soinka emphasizes that true progress and healing must begin with introspection and an honest assessment of one's own flaws and responsibilities. Arani's role as a messenger between the spiritual and human worlds further underscores the idea that self awareness is crucial for understanding and navigating both realms. If we are to conclude Act 1 of A Dance of the Forest, we can understand how the stage for the play's exploration of cultural renewal and the reconciliation of tradition with modernity is set. The expert excerpts discussed here reflect key themes of cultural erosion, internal conflict, and the reaffirmation of identity through ritual. All the passages highlight the play's engagement with the complexities of navigating cultural change and the role of traditional practices in maintaining communal harmony. So, we take a break now for tea or water, and we start with Act 2. We talk about again some of the important lines, we do a detailed analysis, and then we end up with Act 3. So you can take a break now. Can we begin? Can we begin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So before the break, we completed Act 1 and some of the most important passages or the text, and we also did a critical analysis on that. Right now, we move ahead to Act 2. Accordingly, we will choose important lines, and each of the lines have some significance, and we will be doing analysis to that part too. Before moving to the Act 2, we do a quick overview of what Act 2 is bringing to us. Act 2 of the play, A Dance of the Forests, continues to develop the themes that has already been established in Act 1. It focuses on the preparations of the Dance of the Forests. Now, this act is pivotal in showcasing the communal efforts and traditional rituals designed to restore balance and unity in the village. It highlights the intersection of traditional practices and modern influences, setting the stage for the climatic events of the play. The village is abuzz with preparation for the dance of the forests. Each family is tasked with a role, from the crafting of ceremonial masks to the preparation of sacred offerings. The air is filled with rhythmic beats of drums, and the scent of incense wafts through the streets. This passage describes the intense communal activity leading up to the dance of the forests. It illustrates the significance of the event in the village and the collective effort involved in its preparation. The various tasks assigned to the villagers symbolize the integration of individual contributions into a larger communal goal. The ceremonial masks and the sacred offerings represent the reawakening of cultural traditions and the collective spirit of the community. The passage highlights the role of communal rituals in bonding socially and reviving cultural practices. It underscores the play's central theme of unity through shared cultural expressions and the importance of traditional rituals in maintaining societal harmony. The next text, which is between people, and it shows the conflict between tradition and modernity. Some villagers grumble about the old ways, arguing that the rituals are outdated and irrelevant in the face of new advancements. Why cling to the past? They question. Our future lies in the progress, not in old customs. This is the excerpt, and that tells the conflict between the tradition and modernity that villagers are talking about. This excerpt reflects the tension between the traditional practices and the modern influences. The dissenting voice within the village represent the broader societal conflict regarding the role of tradition in a rapidly changing world. The argument presented by the villagers who question the relevance of rituals highlights the challenges of reconciling traditional values with modernity. This internal conflict is a central to play's exploration of cultural renewal. This passage is important because the play's engagement with contemporary issues of modernization and cultural preservation serves to illustrate the difficulties faced by individuals and communities in adapting to change while attempting to preserve their heritage. The next line, as the villagers gather to the dance of the forests, their movements begin to synchronize, blending individual steps into a unified rhythm. The dance becomes a living representation of their collective spirit, bridging the gap between the past and the present. This passage captures the climax of Act 2, where the communal dance signifies the culmination of the villagers' efforts and the manifestation of their collective identity. The synchronization of movements and the blending of individual steps into the unified rhythm symbolize the integration of traditional values with contemporary realities. The dance becomes a metaphor for the reconciliation of past and present. The passage talks about the play's central theme of unity through cultural practices. The successful execution of the dance of the forest represents the community's ability to harmonize traditional and modern elements, reaffirming their cultural identity and collective strength. The dead woman speaks. We were also human once. We had flesh and bones. We shared the sun with those who now torment us. But we did not go wrong, and yet we suffer. In this passage, the dead woman expresses her frustration and sorrow over the injustice she and the dead man have faced. Her statement, "We were also human once," emphasizes the idea that the dead were once living, breathing people with emotions, dreams, desires, much like the living characters who now summon them. This passage highlights one of the central themes: the persistence of injustice and the suffering of the innocent. Soinka uses the dead woman's voice to draw attention to the idea that the past is not easily forgotten and that unresolved injustice continue to haunt the present. The dead woman's lament is a poignant reminder that history is filled with the suffering of those who were wronged and the pain endures even after death. The forest father, Obanaji, speaks. Life has always been a feeble breath, a lamp swinging in a storm, a dream, a shadow. The forest father, Obanaji, reflects on the fragility of life in this passage, using a series of metaphors to describe it as a feeble breath, a lamp swinging in a storm, and a dream, a shadow. These metaphors convey the transient and precarious nature of existence, emphasizing how life is easily disrupted and threatened by external forces. This line reflects the broader theme of the play concerning the vulnerability of human life and the forces, both historical and supernatural, that can shape and challenge it. The Forest Father's words also suggest the insignificance of human life in the grand scheme of time, where each person's existence is just a fleeting moment in the larger narrative of history and nature. Demoke says, I did what I did because I had to, but it was not courage, it was not even choice, it was necessity. I only followed the compulsion of my own being. Demoke the carver, who committed a grave act, reflects on his actions in this line. He tries to justify what he did by suggesting that it was not a matter of courage or choice, but rather a necessity dictated by his inner compulsion. This line delves into the theme of fate versus free will, a recurrent topic in Soinka's work. Demoke's struggle with his actions reflects the internal conflict that arises when individuals face moral dilemmas. His words suggest that sometimes people are driven by forces beyond their control, whether internal compulsions or external circumstances. Soinkas raises questions about personal responsibility and the extent to which individuals can be held accountable. for actions driven by such necessities. Adeneby's line, "You cannot close the pages of history. The mind has a way of reaching back and bringing the past into the present." Adeneby's statement tells one of the core messages, the inescapable presence of history in our lives. He acknowledges that history cannot be simply forgotten or erased, as the mind constantly brings the past into the present, shaping our current realities. This line reflects the idea that the past, especially when it involves unresolved issues and injustices, continues to influence the present, often in the ways that are beyond our control. Soinka uses Adeneby's words to emphasize the importance of acknowledging and addressing historical wrongs to move forward. The play suggests that without his acknowledgement, history will continue to haunt and disrupt the present. Demoke's confrontation with Rola is another beautiful line. "I am haunted by the ghost of my apprentice, Orimole. I see him in every shadow, hear his voice in every whisper of the wind." To which Rola replies, "You were a fool to let your anger consume you. It is not only his spirit that you must confront, but your own conscience as well." This confrontation between Demoke and Rola is pivotal in Act 2. Demoke's predicament, sense of guilt over killing his apprentice Arimule, has plagued him throughout the play. This passage reveals Demoke's inner turmoil and his struggle to come to terms with his action. His acknowledgement of being haunted by Aremule's spirit underscores the theme of guilt and the psychological burden of unresolved wrongdoing. Rola's response serves as a crucial insight into the nature of Damoke's predicament by pointing out that Damoke must confront his own conscience. Rola emphasizes the need for self reflection and personal accountability. This moment highlights the play's exploration of internal moral conflicts and the idea that true resolution requires facing one's own faults and seeking forgiveness. The forest head speech in Act 2 that speaks, "The forest sees all and it remembers. The spirits of the past walk among you. Their whispers guide the winds. Their shadows lurk in your dreams. Only by reckoning with their presence can you hope to find peace." The forest head speech is a significant moment in Act 2 as it tells the play's themes of memory, history, and the connection between the living and the dead. The forest head's role as a mediator between the human world and the spiritual realm is reinforced here. His statement that the forest sees all suggests that the natural and spiritual worlds are intertwined and that nothing is truly hidden from these realms. The notion that spirits of the past walk among you highlights the play's exploration of how the past continuously influences the present. The idea that reckoning with the past is necessary for peace reflects Soinka's critique of societies that ignore historical injustices and unresolved issues. This speech underscores the play's message that true progress requires acknowledging and addressing the past. Agoboroke's prophecy. Agborike's The Dance of the Forest is not merely a performance, it is a reflection of the soul's journey through time. Those who dance with false hearts will find their steps lead them into darkness. Agboriko's prophecy in Act 2 reveals the spiritual and symbolic significance of forest dance. Dance, which is the central motive in the play, is presented not just as a physical act, but also as a profound reflection of the character's inner states and moral journeys. His warning about false hearts highlights the theme of authenticity and integrity. The idea that those with deceitful intentions will find themselves in darkness underscores the play's exploration of truth and morality. The dance serves as a metaphor for the character's spiritual and moral quests, and his prophecy suggests that only by being genuine and confronting their true selves can the characters hope to achieve enlightenment and resolution. Madame Tortoise revelation. Madame Tortoise says, I have lived my lives, worn many faces. The past clings to me like a shadow, and though I seek to shed it, it will not let me go. Madame Tortoise's revelation in Act 2 is a critical moment that sheds light on the theme of inescapability of the past. Her acknowledgement of having lived many lives and worn many faces reflects the complexity of her character and the moral ambiguities she embodies. The metaphor of the past clinging like a shadow suggests that one's history and past actions are inextricably linked to their present identity. Madame Tortoise's struggle to shade her past highlights the play's exploration of how individuals grapple with their histories and the challenge of reconciling their past with their present selves. This moment reinforces the idea that confronting and understanding one's past is essential for personal growth and redemption. Demokes' encounter with the spirits happens to be another beautiful line in the play. The spirits of the forest have come to remind me of my sins. I can no longer ignore their calls or escape their judgments. Demokes' encounter with the spirits in Act 2 is a pivotal moment of self realization and confrontation. His acknowledgement of the spirit's judgment signifies a crucial turning point in his character. This encounter forces Demoke to face the consequences of his actions and the moral weight of his past. The Spirit's role in reminding Demoke of his sins highlights the play's theme of spiritual accountability and the idea that one's actions are subject to divine or supernatural scrutiny. This moment is significant for Demoke's development as it represents a step towards self awareness and the beginning of his journey towards redemption. If we conclude Act 2, we can understand that A Dance of the Forest, Act 2, plays a crucial role in advancing the play's theme of cultural renewal, communal unity, and the negotiation between tradition and modernity. Through the detailed depictions of preparations, the conflict between old and new, and the communal dance, Soinka effectively portrays the complexities of reconciling cultural heritage with pressures of modernization. The Act serves as a bridge between the initial concerns of Act 1 and the resolution present in this one, reinforcing the play's message about the importance of cultural continuity and communal harmony. We end here with Act 2. We begin now with Act 3. We do some detailed analysis of passages. We do some discussions on the passages and the significance of the lines. And here we go. Act 3 of The Dance of the Forests represents the climax of the play, where the themes of cultural renewal and communal unity come to fruitfulness. This act features the culmination of the Dance of the Forests, an event designed to restore balance and reconnect the villagers with their cultural heritage. The act is marked by the revelation of the forest gods and their message to the community. Passage 1. The Forest Father, O Banerjee. I am the spirit of this gathering. I am the mind that has pondered too long on the past. The thoughts have worn out their sheath. I am the abyss between knowing and doing. In this passage, Obanerjee reveals his nature as the embodiment of reflection and introspection. His claim to be the mind that has pondered too long on the past and the abyss between knowing and doing suggests that he represents the paralysis that can come from overthinking and dwelling on past events without action. This line underscores one of the play's central themes, the danger of being trapped by the past and the gap between understanding what needs to be done and actually doing it. Soinka uses Obanerjee to highlight the importance of moving beyond where contemplation and taking decisive action to address the issues that haunt both individuals and society. Passage 2. Demoke, the trees, they close in on me. Every one of them a god, a soul, a voice accusing me. I cannot carve them all. I cannot give them faces. Demoke, the carver, is tormented by the spirits of the trees he has worked with, symbolizing the burden of his guilt and the weight of his past actions. The trees closing him represents the overwhelming sense of responsibility and the voices of the past that accuse him of his deeds. His statement, I cannot carve them all, I cannot give them faces, reflects his realization that he cannot atone for all the wrongs he has committed or personify all the spirits seeking justice. This passage illustrates the theme of guilt and the struggle for redemption as Demoke grapples with the consequences of his actions and the limits of his ability to make amends. Passage 3. Agboreko's speech, that is, to die without being forgotten, that is the curse. The dead are restless, for they seek the forgetting and cannot find it. Agborikos, the wise elder, touches on the profound theme in this excerpt, the curse of being remembered for one's sins and failures. The idea that to die without being forgotten is a curse suggests that the dead are burdened by the memory for their actions, which prevents them from finding peace. In the play, the dead characters are unable to rest because their past deeds continue to affect the living. The line speaks to the play's exploration of the cyclical nature of history and the need for reconciliation and forgiveness to break the cycle of suffering. Soinke uses Agboreko's words to highlight the importance of letting go of the past and the potential for renewal through forgiveness and forgetting. The next passage, where the dead man says, we are what we are, a fragment of the dream, an image in the mirror. We are the reflection of your fears, the echo of your deeds. The dead man's statements reflects the idea that the spirit of the dead are a mirror to the living, embodying the fears, guilt, and consequences of the actions of those still alive. By describing themselves as a fragment of the dream and an image in the mirror, the dead characters suggest that they are not entirely separate from the living but are intimately connected to them as representations of their unresolved issues and unfulfilled desires. This line encapsulates the play's exploration of the interconnectedness of the past and present, as well as the idea that the dead continue to influence and haunt the living through the legacy of their actions. Soinka uses the dead man's words to emphasize the need for the living to confront their fears and deeds to achieve true peace and understanding. The next line: the gods have spoken, and the message is clear. To honor our past is to secure our future. We must embrace our heritage while navigating the tides of change. This passage captures the essence of the God's message, which is central to the play's resolution. It highlights the importance of reconciling with one's cultural past while adapting to the evolving demands of the present. The statement reflects the play's thematic focus on balancing tradition and modernity. The phrase to honor our past is to secure our future emphasizes the idea that preserving cultural heritage is essential for maintaining societal stability and identity. It suggests that acknowledging and integrating traditional values can provide a foundation for progress and unity. The passage signifies the play's resolution and successful outcome of the dance of the forest. It underscores the play's central message about the need for cultural renewal and the affirmation of communal values. This call for harmony between past and present serves as a guiding principle for the villagers as they move forward. In the dance, our ancestors' spirits rise, their voices blending with the rhythms of our own lives. Through this sacred act, we mend the rifts within us and reclaim the unity that has been lost. This passage tells the symbolic and the spiritual significance of the dance of the forest. The dance is portrayed as a means of connecting with the ancestral spirits and healing fractures within the community. Yes, Anjali, are you saying something? Yes, Anjali, you're saying something? Okay, so the reference towards mending the rifts highlights the play's focus on overcoming divisions within the community and restoring social cohesion. The dance serves as a ritualistic act that bridges the gap between tradition and modernity, reinforcing the sense of unity and cultural pride. Anjali, can you please mute? Okay, so the passage illustrates the transformative power of communal rituals in fostering unity and cultural regeneration. It reinforces the idea that cultural practices and traditional plays a crucial role in addressing societal challenges and maintaining communal harmony. The dance of the forest is depicted as a powerful tool for restoring balance and reinforcing collective identity. The last part of the Act 3, let us remember that the forest's silence speaks louder than the noise of our daily lives. In this silence, we find the wisdom of our ancestors and the guidance we need to navigate the future. This passage reflects on the theme of ancestral wisdom and the role of silence in accessing deeper cultural truths. The forest silence symbolizes a return to the essential unspoken values and knowledge that underpin the community's cultural heritage. The statement suggests that amidst the chaos and distraction of modern life, there is a profound wisdom to be found in traditional practices and the teachings of ancestors. It encourages the villagers to listen to and integrate this wisdom as they move forward. The excerpt underscores the play's emphasis on the importance of respecting and learning from traditional wisdom. It highlights the contrast between the superficial noise of modern life and the profound insights offered by ancestral knowledge. The call to find guidance in silence serves as a reminder of the value of cultural heritage and the need to ground contemporary actions in traditional values. The forest heads line. The time has come to face where you have buried. Here, in the presence of the dead, you will see the true nature of your actions. Anjali, I would request you to be a bit more careful. If you have something to say, really, you can please unmute, but otherwise, you can please be muted. It hampers the flow of the teaching. Thank you. I just hope you understand it. Okay. So, okay. Yes. So there there in this text we find there is a confrontation with the dead. The time has come to face where you have buried. Here in the presence of the dead, you will see the true nature of your actions. The spirits demand acknowledgement and reparation for the wrongs done. The forest head in this passage addresses the living characters, setting the stage for the climatic confrontations with their past. This moment is pivotal as it tells the play's central theme of facing the past to achieve resolution. The forest head, representing the impartial and authoritative force of nature and spirituality, insists on the necessity of acknowledging one's wrongdoings. This confrontation forces the characters to come to terms with their guilt and the consequences of their actions, emphasizing the idea that unresolved issues from the past cannot be ignored. The call for acknowledgement and reparation reflects the play's exploration of historical and moral responsibility. The forest head's role as a mediator between the spiritual and human realms highlights the interconnectedness of past actions and their impact on the present. This moment also serves as a catalyst for the character's personal growth and potential for redemption.
हेलो मैम।
Yes, Anjali.
ये कौन सा चैप्टर का है?
This is from Act 3. We are almost ending Act 3.
लिटरेचर या फिर थ्योरी?
Anjali, I don't get your question.
मैम मतलब इंग्लिश का है ना? इंग्लिश।
Yes.
हेलो।
This is MEG-8, Anjali.
MEG-8?
Yes.
ओके ओके मैम, थैंक यू मैम। ओके मैम, रिपीट रिपीट।
Okay. So as we head towards the end of Act 3, we also see there is Demoke's encounter with Oremoli's spirit. Orimole's spirit here speaks for the first time. You took my life in a fit of rage. Demoke, do you not see the weight of your actions? I am the shadow of your guilt, and only through facing me can you find peace. Demoke's encounter with Orimole's spirit is one of the most emotionally charged moments in Act 3. This interaction is crucial for Demoke's character development and the play's exploration of guilt and redemption. Oremole's spirit represents the unresolved consequences of Demoke's actions, and the weight of his guilt is made palpable through his confrontation. The passage highlights the personal nature of Demoke's struggle. Oromile's spirit serves as a manifestation of Demoke's inner turmoil and the need for him to confront his past to achieve peace. This moment emphasizes the theme of personal responsibility and the idea that true redemption can only be achieved through facing one's own wrongdoings and seeking forgiveness. The ritual's climax reaches to a point where the forest head speaks. The dance of the forests reveals the truth hidden beneath the surface. So, where that presents a cyclical nature of history and it connects everything around. There is one more beautiful line where the character's reflections is seen. Democles speak. I have seen the faces of my past and am burdened by the weight of my actions. But now, in the presence of the Spirit, I seek to make amends and find a path to redemption. This is where reflects the process of coming to terms with one's past and the steps necessary to achieve redemption. His willingness to make amends demonstrate the possibility of personal transformation and the idea that facing the truth can lead to healing the renewal. The last part, the play concludes with the forest head saying, as the dance concludes, remember that the past shapes the present, but it is the actions of today that will define the future. Let the lessons of this gathering guide you towards a path of wisdom and justice. The final words of the forest head tells the play's overarching message about the relationship between the past, present, and the future. This excerpt emphasizes the importance of learning from history and using those lessons to inform future actions. The idea that the past shapes the present, but that current actions define the future reflects the play's exploration of historical consciousness and moral responsibility. The conclusion of Act 3 reinforces the theme of continuity, the need for a thoughtful approach to shaping the future. By acknowledging the past and committing to justice and wisdom, the characters are given the opportunity to create a more equitable and enlightened future. This final message serves as a call to action for both the characters and the audience, emphasizing the importance of addressing past wrongs and striving for a better future. As we conclude, we can give a quick summary of Act 3, where we see that Act 3 of Dance of the Forest is pivotal in the play's exploration of cultural renewal and communal unity. The key excerpts from this particular act spoke about the play's central themes and messages, including the need to honor cultural heritage, the power to communal rituals, the wisdom of ancestral traditions, and through the dance of the forest, the message of the forest gods. Soyinka, he emphasizes the importance of reconciling tradition with modernity and fostering unity with community. The act serves as a powerful resolution to the play's narration and profound reflection on the role of cultural practices in shaping societal identity and cohesion. Let's quickly discuss on the symbolism and used in the play. Uh, Quick symbolism can be spiritual guardianship. The forest gods symbolize the spiritual guardians of the land and the custodians of traditional values. In Yoruba belief system, the forest and its deities are considered sacred and are associated with ancestral spirits and natural forces. By naming the play after the forest gods, Soinka underscores their role in guiding and influencing the community's actions and decisions. There is a cultural continuity as a symbolic representation. The forest gods represent the continuity of cultural traditions and the preservation of indigenous knowledge. The play addresses the tension between traditional practices and modern influences, and the forest gods serve as a metaphor for the importance of maintaining cultural heritage amidst change. Their presence in the play signifies the need to reconnect with and honor traditional values. There is a ritual and symbolism. The forest gods are central to ritualistic aspect, particularly the dance of the forests. The dance is symbolical enough to intend to restore balance and unity between the communities. By centering the play on the forest gods, Soinka emphasizes the importance of rituals and spiritual practices in achieving cultural renewal and communal harmony. There is a sense of mythology and cultural reference too as a symbolic element here. In Yoruba mythology, forests are often seen as places of spiritual significance where divine and ancestral forces reside. The forest gods embody this mythological connection and serve as a bridge between the spiritual and the material worlds. The title reflects this deep rooted cultural and mythological association, highlighting the play's exploration of spiritual and cultural themes. We see moral and ethical guidance also by the forest gods that addresses issues of societal decay and corruption. Their intervention in the play symbolizes the role of traditional wisdom and spiritual guidance in addressing contemporary challenges and promoting communal values. The gathering, which is the central event of the play, that is also symbolical. The gathering represents the intersection of past, present, and future, where the characters are forced to confront their history and its impact on the present. The gathering is not just a celebration, but a moment of reckoning where the truth about the past is revealed. The gathering also symbolizes the idea that history is not a distant or separate entity, but something that is constantly present and influencing the present. The play suggests that the past is always with us, shaping our actions and decisions, and that we cannot move forward without understanding and acknowledging it. The dance itself is symbolic. The dance is a powerful symbol of the cyclical nature of history and human behavior. The dance involves both the living and the dead, representing the ongoing cycle of life, death, and rebirth. The dance symbolizes the possibility of change and renewal. While the cycle of history is ongoing, the play suggests that it is possible to break the cycle and to create a new path. However, this requires a deep understanding of the past and a commitment to change. The forest in the play is a powerful symbol of nature, history, and the unknown. The forest is a place of mystery, danger, where the boundaries between the human and spiritual worlds are blurred. It represents the idea that history is not always clear or easily understood, and that the truth is always hidden and difficult to uncover. The forest also symbolizes the idea of transformation and renewal. It is a place where the characters are forced to confront their past and where the possibility of change is present. The forest is both a place of danger and a place of potential, reflecting the complexities of history and human nature. So, overall, the play, Waltz Soinka's A Dance of the Forest, is in fact a complex and multi layered work that reflects the author's deep ambivalence about Nigeria's independence and the challenges that lay ahead for the new nation. Through its rich symbolism, mythology, and allegory, the play explores themes of history, memory, and the nature of human behavior. Soinka's feelings in the play are marked by deep skepticism. He warns against the idea that independence alone will not bring just a harmonious society, but he also emphasizes that there is a necessity to critically examine history and still stay committed to change. So, this requires a deep and honest understanding of the self. So, in the end, Dance of the Forest is a powerful commentary on the complexities of nation building and the importance of understanding and learning from history. It challenges the audience to think critically about the past and to engage in reflections. It's a timeless presentation and a thought provoking work that continues to resonate with audiences today, offering a profound meditation on human condition and the challenges of creating a just and equitable society. So, with this, we end with the play A Dance in the Forest. Yes, Tanushka, you are saying something?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please tell me.
मैम
Hmm.
मैम मैं आज फर्स्ट क्लास अटेंड कर रही हूँ
Hmm.
तो मैं जानना चाह रही थी आप मुझे थोड़ा गाइड कर देंगे चीज़ों को लेके
Yes, please ask me whatever I can. I will definitely.
यस मैम मैम जो डेट शीट थी जो टाइमिंग्स था सब्जेक्ट का और बाकी ये MEG-7 था ना
अच्छा,
क्रिटिसिज्म वाला
ये चेंज हुआ है। ये आई थिंक चेंज हुआ है, तो आपको ऑफ़िस से ही पता चलेगा कि एग्ज़ैक्टली अभी का शेड्यूल क्या है। आई थिंक आपके ग्रुप में कुछ स्टूडेंट्स हैं जिनको रीसेंट वाला टाइम टेबल है उनके पास में। तो थोड़ा आप उनसे कनेक्ट कीजिए और अभी का जो टाइम टेबल है, मैं बस आपको इतना बोल सकती हूँ, टुडे इज़ द 3rd डे, दिस इज़ MEG 8। तो इसका भी चलेगा फॉर द नेक्स्ट I think another 5-7 days. Uh, it will continue.
मैम एक्चुअली जो व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है उसमें मेरा ऐड नहीं हो पा रहा था नंबर उसमें कुछ प्रॉब्लम आ रहा था तो मेरे मेरे पास किसी भी ग्रुप मेंबर का नंबर नहीं है
Acha,
सो
so
दैट आई कैन
you
कनेक्ट
you you can connect to the coordinator of this course otherwise.
मैम कैसे
You can write a mail to them to ignore. You can write a mail. You can talk about your issues because if there is a change in timing, so that must reach you. So I think the coordinators can guide you on that.
ओके मैम
Yeah.
या थैंक यू सो मच
Okay.
मैम
Thank you. Thank you.